Welcome to the DSRX podcast, a raw exploration of regenerative relating through vulnerable shares, practical tools, and ecstatic experiments from our own long-term love story. Beyond traditional dominance and submission, DSRX names a new terrain, devotion and service, that include the cycles of RX as a central medicine for integrating deeper power exchange and erotic connection. Here we embrace the polarity paradox, structure with softness, discipline with holistic surrender, power with play, and conscious leadership with love, where sex, desire, kink, and the taboo ignite the crucible that turns heat into healing. Because intimate partnership is the deepest initiator, the most sacred undoing. For more about DSRX, find links in the show notes, and thank you for being with us.
Welcome back to DSRX. Last episode, we talked about the backstage, the mental load, the details, the passwords, all the invisible weight that makes or breaks trust. Today, we're moving into something much more interior, much more about polarity, because polarity breaks at our root. Today's episode is about fidelity and integrity and intentionality around sex. These aren't abstract moral values. They're the actual foundations of your power as a man, of the power of what it is to be in our masculine. Without them, you leak. With them, you lead. You are an example. People feel it. Most men let their sexuality rule them, either from an unconscious embrace or an unconscious clampdown. They either scatter it or repress it. They scatter it with porn, random hookups, compulsive release, or gazing unconsciously at every woman who walks by, or feeling unconsciously. When you step into your power as a man, your sexuality doesn't rule you. You rule it. And this power does not come from rejecting or denying your sexuality. It does not come from pretending you don't want it. It does not come from pretending you're not aroused or pretending you're above it or restraining yourself in any way energetically, but rather it comes from choosing not to scatter it. It comes from intentionality. That old pattern that I've lived this. That old pattern is all about validation. It's all about a quick release. It's all about a conquest mentality. It's at its root based in insecurity and at its root based in wounding. The new pattern is different. It's about recognizing that your sexual energy is sacred. It's a treasure. It's something to be offered consciously and conscientiously and ultimately with intentionality. For years, my relationship with sex was about proof. I was proving I was desirable. I was proving I was worthy. I was proving I could perform. I was proving I could get the girl. And every time I went there, I actually wasn't in my power. I was in my insecurity. I remember when I was younger, chasing hookups and feeling like if I only got it, I could release this energy. And also feeling like if I didn't release this energy, I would go fucking crazy. I felt crazy in the act. I felt crazy if I didn't get the act. And then afterwards, instead of feeling alive, I felt empty. Like I'd given away a piece of myself. And I remember coming to this realization that I wanted to feel good before, during, and after. And the fact of the matter was, the reason why I felt empty afterwards and that I had given away a part of myself was I had. When I began to learn to shift, it started really with an understanding and an awareness that it was in the holding of my arousal. It was in the slowing down. And it was actually in me hosting my sexuality instead of being ruled by it that everything changed. I stopped being a little boy chasing validation. Rather, I started stepping into myself as a man who could channel this energy into my sex, into love, into creativity, into my practices, into my business, into my presence. And this matters because true masculine sexuality, it is rooted in a spirit, in an energy. And that energy, when it's truly channeled in a way that really is rooted, your cock becomes a conduit of divine energy. I know it sounds cheesy, but I feel it and I can see it and I see its impact. This is what it means when you're in your root chakra and it's there and you've done your work there. You're rooted in spirit rather than in your matter. Your cock becomes, you're rooted in spirit. You're rooted in a place where your cock is a conduit of energy. You're rooted in something that transcends matter. You become a channel for chi, for life force, for growth, for love, for ravishment, for presence. And it's through patience becoming your power, through slowness becoming your strength. And you start to see that the space between the stimulus of your arousal and your response, that pause, that space, where in the past you grabbed porn or you went for the quick release or you went for the checkout, that space literally becomes your source of your power and it becomes your freedom. And you start having it where foreplay isn't just what happens before the sex. Foreplay, rather, is an energy that you host. It's an arousal energy that is life force, that is God energy, and that you expand or contract with your presence. And you delay conquest, you delay climax. Rather, you become the host. And here's the big thing that I've seen with this is that my past infidelity, my past compulsive patterns, my past affairs, they're always at their core an attempt to soothe wounds, to soothe pain that I never faced. And so as you do this work, your pain is going to come up. Your little boy wounds will come up. Mine sure as fuck did. And your sexual shame will come up. So you're going to be feeling, and you need to also host along with this sexuality, your grief, your insecurities, the feelings of, for me, of never being enough. And this is where you must start stepping into doing your inner work. So sex ceases to become that feminine, an external feminine. And in order to move into a place where sex becomes sacred and where sex is something that I host, there has to be not only this discipline, but it's also the discipline of not doing, the discipline of patience, the discipline of slow, but it's also the discipline of self-compassion, the discipline of sitting there and holding the little boy inside of you, sitting with that little guy, getting to befriend the little guy, getting to befriend the parts of us that we feel insecure, that we don't know, that we don't feel we want to share with the world. We have to sit with him. We have to sit with him. And that's the work. That's the inner work, is learning and understanding that it's not about an accomplishment, but it's actually about surrendering ourself, like receiving in ourself the love that we never received. Because at the end of the day, what does that little boy need? He needs to feel loved. And that love is something that we can generate ourselves. And that love, when we start to generate it ourselves, that's God. And that's what is at the core of a masculine container. At the core of a masculine container is the power to hold and direct and host sexual energy, but it's also the power to hold, direct, and host love. And not to deny it, not to repress it, but to host it. This is the difference between being ruled by desire and being the one who controls the pace, the depth, and the container of sex. We see that we are a reflection, we are a channel of God energy, of erotic eros, of love energy, of sexual energy, and they become one in us. This is erotic leadership. Erotic leadership is not about controlling, but rather it's about hosting. It's about thinking of ourselves as a conductor leading a symphony of energy. A conductor at its core is not rushing, he's not proving. Rather, he is directing, he is conducting, he is shaping, he is building attention. He's releasing at the right moment. That's erotic leadership. You create a container, you hold the time, you set the tone, direct the depth, and in this, your partner feels safe. And in this, she will feel ravished and awakened, not because you pushed it, not because you're trying to prove something, but rather because of your patience, your intention, and your capacity to hold, your discipline. If we can view sexual energy as the union, because at its core it is the union of masculine and feminine energy, we can also learn, and we must learn, how to host both of those energies within ourselves. In many ways, that little boy energy is a feminine energy. The masculine is the form, the container, the direction, the host. The feminine energy is the wildness, the flow, the part of us that is malleable, that is open to birth and new possibilities. So when you scatter your sexuality, when you are scattering your sexual energy, you are actually scattering and abandoning your masculinity. When you clamp down, you're abandoning your feminine energy. So the work is to host both of these energy, to be the man who can feel the feminine surge, the desire, the ravishment inside of ourselves, and hold that arousal, that wildness, that desire, and not need to release it, but not to repress it either, and not collapse under it. That's also the man who can hold his woman in her energy, in her wildness, in her passion. And this is the man who can hold the masculine frame, the discipline, the integrity, the boundaries, without cutting off flow. Discipline is not about saying no to life. Discipline is rather saying yes to life with integrity, with intentionality, with control, without proving, with security, with a sense of assurance. This is why fidelity, integrity, and intentionality are power. Not because they're religious rules, but because they make you, by definition, a container who can hold the union of the masculine and the feminine energies. There were many years where I didn't hold it. I collapsed, and I was obsessed with sex. I still am obsessed with sex, but I let sex take over my life. I used it as a place to de-stress myself when I was overwhelmed, which was often, and I needed quick releases when I felt anxious, and hookups to prove that I was still desirable, and still I didn't feel stronger or better from it. I felt I was ruled by something outside of myself. And the polarity in my own relationship drained away. I had to just stop and take inventory of my life and reboot. And I stopped scattering. I practiced fidelity. I was in my integrity, in my intentionality. And being with Rachael has been about fine-tuning and detailing that practice and really addressing it and really showing up to it and living in it with absolute intentionality, integrity. It is a practice. So let's get practical. How do we actually do these things? First of all, I stopped scattering. You have to first audit, take an inventory. And as you're taking inventory, stop scattering. Where are you leaking your energy? Is it porn? Is it Instagram scrolling? Is it random hookups? Is it compulsive masturbation? Is it a leaky eye? And ask yourself, am I feeling stronger or weaker after these moments? Am I feeling drained in my energy because of this or replenished? Is it regenerative? Is it taking up time? Just take inventory of your energies. Every leak, in many ways, weakens our presence. Cut the leaks. Pick one of those things and eliminate them completely. Get yourself into practice, even if it's for just 30 days. Prove to yourself that you're not ruled by this compulsion. Take it as an experiment. Don't think you're going to do it all at once. Take it one by one. As you do this, step 2, the little boy's going to come up. The insecurity is going to come up. All the things you were not wanting to feel and using sex and these things to not feel are going to start to feel. So that at its core is this little boy in you who was shamed for touching himself, who was told his desires were dirty, who was rejected, who feels unworthy and unmasculine. That little boy's still in you. If you don't tend him, he runs the show. He becomes the one who's chasing the release, who needs to get off. And it's really about embracing him and being kind to him and not shaming him. It's connecting with him. It's reconnecting. You have to connect before you correct. Connect with this little guy. Introduce yourself. Offer the compassionate phrases that build trust. You have to realize the first step isn't so much not doing the thing because it's bad or it's wrong. The first step, step 1 of abstaining, the main purpose of that is to actually start to introduce yourself to the parts of yourself that you avoided feeling, the vulnerability, the weaker parts, the sensitive parts, all the things that you weren't feeling because you did all these things to not feel. That's the whole point of why we're actually stopping. So as we get into it and we are with this little guy, journal to him, speak out loud to him, put your hand on your chest and say, I see you, buddy. I love you. I got you. I'll take care of you. I'll hold you now. That's some powerful shit. Nothing more transformative than taking the weakest parts of ourselves, the most vulnerable parts of ourselves, and starting to host them and not shame them and embrace them and be compassionate and not want them to change, but to love on them. When the man hosts the boy inside of him, sex becomes conscious rather than compulsive. Step 3, practice holding your arousal. Train your nervous system with intensity. So come back after these periods of abstaining and invite in some intensity. Delay your orgasm, edge yourself, spread the sensation through your whole body with breath, with the same practices and craft that you do in other places of your life where you can hold intensity without collapsing. Host the fire rather than extinguishing it or letting it consume you. This is not about denial. It's about actually cultivating something. Breathe into your belly slowly. Slow down your touch. Find the pleasure in your breath. Like cultivate pleasure in every breath. Let the energy spread through your body where you start feeling the pleasure and the sensation of your energy and your breathing. To be alive is to be in pleasure. Don't feel like you're trapped in your body. Feel the pulsing energy of it. Step 4, as you're doing this, set the container for the sex. Don't drift into it. Don't do it just unconsciously or compulsively. Do it with intentionality. Before sex, with her or him or yourself, create a frame. Set a scene, literally. Choose the time. We'll come back to being more spontaneous, but for a while, create and choose the set and setting. Be very intentional about the time, the set, light the candle, create the mood, choose the music, Create a scene, create a situation, cultivate and hold a container for both her, for you, your own inner masculine, your own inner feminine. Don't wait for the outside world to initiate it. You become the host. Ground yourself in it. Be wide in that energy. And think of foreplay as everything that's in between the sexual acts. It's all foreplay. There is no such thing actually as foreplay. All energy at all times is erotic, can be erotic. How you text, how you greet, how you do, how you move, how you dress, all of it can be hot. All of it can be from a place of power and intentionality when it's done with a sense of presence in your arousal. And this brings me into step 5. Integrate sexuality into your daily life. Don't compartmentalize it. The way you handle your work, your money, your body, your discipline, all of it is the same energy. Everything you do can be hot. Women see men that are in suits going to work or in a uniform. Why do they feel like that's sexy? It's because of the qualities that those suits express to them. They're drawn to it. Uniforms, just the word uniform, consistency. It's a place of status and power. We can exhibit that in our life. We don't need the world to place that label on us. We can be that for ourselves. Be meticulous with your sexual energy. Approach it like a craft in the same way that you would approach a craft in your own life. Ask yourself, would I treat my finances as carelessly and as sloppily as I do my sexual energy? Would I treat my physical training this sloppily? Your sexuality deserves the same respect. Fidelity isn't just sexual. It's about being faithful to your word, to your body, to your vision. Integrity isn't about being moral, though it is. It's rather truly about being whole. And this wholeness and this integrity, integral, right? Wholeness, it's taking the darkest parts of us. It's taking the lightest parts of us. It's taking our sexual desire, our masculine, our feminine. It's bringing them all together. And it's feeling whole in that. That's intentionality. It's not about romance. It's about being disciplined in these areas. Romance is a byproduct of it. When I started practicing this, and when I realized that my fidelity, my integrity, and my intentionality, they weren't moral cages and restrictions that I had flung open and broken open growing up in a very religious context. I went through a period of just breaking those all down. I got to reclaim them as true foundations of my power. And this has actually led Rachael to relax into me, where I have this incredibly beautiful, submissive, surrendered woman with me at all times, committed to me. I'm not chasing her anymore at all. I'm just hosting. And sex has not been a release, though it is. That's not its point that I'm seeking out. It is truly a sacred place. And when I practice this fidelity, not just with Rachael, but just in life, and most importantly to myself, I feel stronger. Every day I feel stronger. I feel better. I feel more and more in my integrity, in my word, and I feel grounded. I feel in my root. It sets the tone. I'm no longer drifting. Rather, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm intentional. Stop scattering. Stop being ruled by the little boy. Stop leaking your power into porn or into compulsive releases, into unconscious habits. Rather, start hosting. Start cultivating. Start building that fidelity, that integrity, that intentionality. Start building it and seeing about it in every part of your life. That's actually when your cock becomes divine and becomes something that is sacred. That's when your sex becomes holy. That's when polarity catches a fire for her and for you. And in that fire, you become the container. You become the host. Be the host and watch how she responds when she feels you holding it all. If this landed for you, keep up with us. Click the link in bio to sign up for weekly emails where I share resources, reflections, and practices to help you live this work. Appreciate you for listening. I'll see you next week. Thank you.